Let's try this Substack output again. Real quick. Let's get the TikTok stream started. Alright. The stream might crash because I'm trying to do something really fast. Hopefully it doesn't though. Alright. So that's the same. Yeah, so it is a different key every time. That's so stupid. Alright. Let's see if this is working. Check, check. Seems to be. Let's go live here. Alright. Launching TikTok. Welcome everyone. We're about to get started. Alright. Check, check. I think Substack's working. That's awesome. Cool. Alright. Well, let's just launch the rest. Boom. Boom. Alright, all platforms are on. This is amazing. We're on 7 of 7 right now. Alright. Check, check. And we're starting in 3. Oh wait, let me pull up the news real quick. And we're starting in 3, 2, 1. What is up, team? Your Antifa CEO here. Welcome back to headquarters on this beautiful Friday. Hope everyone's staying safe and subversive. The March on Washington has begun. The events have begun. There has been speakers. There's been coordinated marches into the Capitol and things of that nature. They're trying to ask questions, trying to get some answers. So huge shout out to all of our comrades who have boots on the ground right now in Washington, D.C. We see you. We appreciate you. We will hold you up. We are awaiting all of that content to start hitting the waves, and we will make sure to boost it on every channel. We are encouraging all of our comrades to make sure that they're boosting anyone that they see participating in the March on Washington. The March on Washington will conclude on the Sunday night. I imagine a lot of people are going to have to get back to work, but we are starting that economic blackout November 25th through December 2nd, the People's Sick Day, Operation SNAP, whatever we're calling it, but we're making sure to minimize our economic activity. We're making sure to take as many days off as possible in this 7-day period. We're trying to hit the billionaires right where it hurts in those Q4 profits. With that, we'll get right into our sponsors at the top of the show. If you'd like to feed a family this holiday season, please tap in with Veau Noir. That's VOIXNOIRE.com. They are focused on brown and marginalized bodies, and in my opinion, those are the ones that need the most help, especially under this administration. Please tap in with Liquidate the Billionaires and their ambitious goal to turn every mega yacht into a coral reef. If that's something that you're interested in, please join Team Liquidate on all platforms. You can tap in with us right here. Our Friday cadence is a little different, just a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say tired. I don't want to say worn out, but I'm trying to find the focus here in this moment for what we will discuss today. And I think I want to start with One of the topics from this week, there was so much that happened this week, from Donnie calling that woman reporter Piggy, which is kind of funny considering he's a fat bitch. But hey, no body shaming. But when you're a fat bitch, you don't call other people Piggy. So, that happened in real time, in real life. The president of the United States, which is absolutely disgusting, but whatever. We go into what else was crazy this week. Regardless, I want to talk about affordability. I want to talk about right now how this administration is floundering around the concept of affordability. And I want to ask the real question: how do we think that billionaires, especially the billionaire in the White House, can understand in any way, shape, or form what affordability is? Donald Trump has never wrestled with affordability. He's never penny pinched. He's never done anything. Maybe cut $1 million from a budget or something like that, or maybe tried to underpay some people. But Donald Trump does not understand the concept of affordability. He might understand cash flow. He might understand, debt load, things like that, with those big numbers. But he's never been down to his bottom dollar trying to make the choice between food, electricity, water, whatever it is. And I don't understand, especially from MAGA Supreme, why they continue to put their lot with these billionaires. And we see, especially over the course of this year, you ask MAGA Supreme and they'll be like, oh, prices are going down. And you ask them on what? And they'll say egg and they'll say gas. All right, so if the price of eggs have gone down, which they were literally at the most record high level we've ever seen, so they can only go down from there, and not only that, but there was a literal avian influenza that was causing the destruction of tens of millions of flocks, birds in those flocks. So regardless, I don't want to sit here and try to explain economics to any MAGA. Our true core radicals know what was going on. But when we look at that, and then we look at gas, okay, when we look at the price of gasoline right now, there is an oil glut supply, especially because refining capacity has not really been hurt too much from Russia, even though Ukraine has been hitting deeper into Russia. The refining capacity is still high. The market's still seeing an enormous amount of glut, and so those oil prices are low. That's not anything that the president can control, but we know that. The core radicals know that. But for MAGA Supreme, and that's why Donnie finds himself in a really interesting space right now, is that for MAGA Supreme, those dummies don't understand basic economics. And so they actually think that the president can do these things. And that's why Donnie finds himself in a tough position right now, is because outside of gas, outside of eggs, everything else is substantially more expensive. People are not getting raises at their job. In fact, many people are being laid off from their jobs because of AI or shareholder return or whatever we want to, pin it on. But, Donnie, as a billionaire, has no concept of affordability, of making hard choices, of trying to do what they can for the family survival. All MAGA knows, all these MAGA lunatics know, is handouts. Not a single MAGA person works hard. They like to tell you that, and even if they're a blue-collar worker or whatever, they're not a hard worker, because all they do is sit around and complain about brown people. They sit around and complain about how they're non-industrious, they're non-entrepreneurial, they don't work hard. Most of them can't read. And do we get on here to insult MAGA? Yeah, sometimes we do. I don't care about their feelings, personally, because all they do, they need these safe spaces. They need these safe spaces. So I say the things that I say about MAGA because I want them to understand that this is not a safe space for you, that we don't care about you, that we think in real terms that you are a lunatic, you are a danger to this country. And frankly, I would rather have 75 million illegal immigrants that don't speak a lick of American instead of all of these MAGA clowns who voted for that traitor president in the first place. We talked yesterday about Donnie saying that certain members of Congress, because of a video in which they reminded military personnel that they need to obey their oath to defend this Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and this is the funniest thing about it. Let's focus on this right quick. All enemies, foreign and domestic. Every freaking MAGA clown veteran, every MAGA clown traitor veteran that gets online or gets on or whatever, they love to emphasize that part of their oath. Foreign and domestic, foreign and domestic. But the second that some Democratic veterans tried to remind military personnel that they need to defend this country against foreign and domestic, the right-wing propaganda sphere is going absolutely insane, because they think that the military will protect them. I think that's why these MAGA clowns are acting like this, because they really think that they can treat brown people as cattle, and that the military will ultimately protect them on the other side. That is not the case. Every one of you MAGA clowns will be held culpable for what's happening right now. And frankly, in my opinion, your vote is just as good as rounding up these people and putting them in the cages yourself, because when we look at it, and when we ask so many of these MAGAs, they say the truth. They say we're getting exactly what we voted for. That's what they say all the time. We're getting exactly what we voted for. They know that to be true because they voted to hurt brown people. And now that Donald Trump is hurting brown people, they are excited. That's because they're demons. I keep pushing it. We're going to get that branding on. These MAGA pro-life Christians, some of them aren't Christians, I don't know, but they're demons. They're absolute demons and scourges in this country, because we can't rationalize or reason with these people. It's not even based in reality, I don't know if it's the lack of education from those states. I don't know what it is, but I do know that there's just so much propaganda that's up there. There's so much just sewage, just raw sewage. MAGA is like going to a raw sewage plant. There's just, can we process some of that? Sure, but there's going to be some sludge that just we can't really do nothing with. We got to just push that aside, wait till later. But affordability, we can't expect billionaires to understand anything about affordability. We can't expect MAGA clowns who simp for billionaires to actually care about affordability. But, with some of these polling disasters that we're seeing from the Trump administration, some of these polling disasters, the numbers are downhill. The jobs numbers going down. They had to keep it closed, and they don't want to release stuff so they can have more time to cook the books. The job numbers are going down. More people are getting fired. Rural hospitals, rural communities getting gutted right now. These billionaires continue to lay off people. The economy is soft. In this market, the economy is very soft. We talked about it yesterday. McDonald's is turning away 80% of applicants, which means that to work at McDonald's right now is a 20% acceptance rate. That is selective as some of the most selective state-funded institutions in the country. So private institutions, we get into the top 10%, but they have jobs. I was listening to something on NPR. I want to say it was a traffic flagger. A traffic flagger, maybe in Texas, could be wrong. But even in a traffic flagger, it's like a 5% acceptance rates compared to all the applications that they're getting and whatnot. So you're telling me that you're more likely to go to Harvard than you are to become a traffic flagger in Donald Trump's economy. That is what's wrong with this country right now, is that for the billionaires, for the wealthy to do, the wheels are greased. It's nice and easy path. They just shoot right in. But for every one of us working hard, working 8, 12, 16-hour shifts, working days in a row, working weeks in a row, nonstop, our time is so limited. That's why I always focus on, the fact that they're coming for everything that we have, because we can see it in the limitation of time that is made available to us just by participating in the society the way that they want us to participate. So let's take it down. It's Friday, so let's not be as crazy. So let's take it down and let's talk about, hey, bro, used to run the OKDOP, but my page got zucked, didn't get a chance to join all the pages. Oh, man. So Atlas from TikTok, I'm seeing you. Looks like they used to be a creator on Facebook. They got zucked. You'll have to DM me. We'll have to talk more so we can figure out if there's any way that we can try to help you or replatform you. But Atlas, right now, you need to make sure that you're diversifying to all platforms, because that's the only way that we'll be protected right now. You are tapping with us. We can try to get you plugged up, try to do all that we can, but I can't. That's the thing about it, is I can't promise anything. I can't sit here and say that, oh, we're going to get you 1,000 followers. That's not how this works, You got to be plugged in with the community from the jump, so that when things like this happen, that we can be immediate, that your followers can be engaged immediately. And you also need to make sure that you're on all platforms so that you can't be silenced. So we will tap in with the Atlas. I see you. Thanks for reaching out. just go ahead and shoot me a DM, and we'll see what we can do from there. But with that being said, so I was talking about affordability and family. So let's get into family. Family is one of the most important things, especially to me. Personally, growing up, my family life was very troubled. And so as an adult, I oftentimes find myself working very long hours and very hard to try to make sure that my family is getting the attention or all the things that they need, in terms of, all the things that they want, but, we're just stretched so thin. And one of the things that we're dealing with right now is just with the lack of time from not only our own jobs, but, the kids go to school, all of this. Every family only has a few hours a day together. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to make sure that we're fortifying that time, to maximize that time, to get the most out of that time that we can? How are we spending it in a way that allows us to both decompress, because as parents we're at work, as children they're at school, but to decompress and spend quality time together, to be able to communicate, to have fun, to just exist in a way that allows, for love, for family, whatever, all the things. And so, my struggle right now is, especially with my job, with all the things that I'm doing, my time is so thin. With everything else, like, all the time is so thin. But when you do the math, it's a common problem for everyone. It's not something that we can just sit here and say, I'm the only person dealing with this, because that's not the case. Every one of us out here right now is being robbed of our lives, being robbed of every opportunity that we have to spend it with the people that we love. And so we have to ask ourselves, how are we fighting to get back that time? How are we making sure that the time that is available to us is used the best way? Because that's the way that we'll be able to defend our children from these billionaires. We look at Jeffy's Island, and it shows that they are coming for our children. It shows their intent. It shows that when we allow billionaires to exist, that disgusting and horrific things happen to our children. And so how are we making sure to fortify our brief moments together so that our children are not susceptible to those things? I don't want to sit here and look at anyone's past or whatever, because especially in terms of Jeffy's Island, those victims, there's absolutely no excuse. There's nothing that can be said to take any amount of blame away from all of those billionaires who funded every aspect of that horrific, time. There's nothing that can take away from that. But, as a parent, I'm asking myself, how can I do the most to make sure that my children aren't put in any types of situations like that? And for me, that's part of the reason that I get on here and I get so fiery about these billionaires, because when you really look at what's beating us down, at what's making it so easy for our families to be broken apart, it is these billionaire prophets. It is these profit seekers. It is these people who just grind us down to extract everything. And for what? Why do I only get 4 hours with my children before they have to go to sleep and we have to get ready for the new day? Why does every one of us get such limited time with our families, with our friends, with anyone? Our time is so limited in every single day. And right now, especially because of the way that I'm working, the way that I'm doing these things, it's really exacerbated that limitation of time to me. I am to the point where I am counting the minutes. I need every minute to be exactly what I need it to be, or I'm behind schedule, I'm stressed out, I'm all these things, because I have so much to do in such limited time to do it, So I don't want to make it seem like, I don't want to make it seem like it's bad or like I don't understand or anything like that, because truly I do. We're in it together, but we have to figure out how to get out of it. And I think that's why, at least today, that's what I wanted to focus on for today's topic, is the two main arches is affordability and family, because they go hand in hand. Without the concept of affordability, the true concept of affordability, there is no way to maintain a family. And so if affordability is a struggle, then, the family will be a struggle. So the billionaires, billionaire Donnie in the White House is not our answer to an affordability problem. I just, anyone who, for them, $1 billion is not enough, they cannot solve this problem. For Donald Trump's family, they're making money hand over fist right now from the presidency. They're making so much money every day. So they don't care about affordability. They only care about the perception that, things are, I don't know. I can tell you they don't care about affordability, though, because no aspect of what they're doing shows that. When you're rounding up millions of people, plucking them from economies, it shows that you don't care about anything being affordable. Shout out to our Facebook viewers, we see y'all. Shout out to our YouTube viewers, we see y'all. Twitch, we're on all 7 platforms right now. Just a quick pivot, we are live on 7 different platforms right now. We are on Kick, Twitch, 2 Facebook pages, so Memes That Can Save the World and The Propaganda Factory. We are on TikTok, YouTube, and Substack. That is 7 platforms that we are currently live on right now. We are uploading to up to 20 platforms after. Comrades, the energy, the motion is different, I'm trying not to be as fiery today. I can be fiery every day, but I think that today, at least for this Friday, at least with the March on Washington happening right now, I just want to make sure that our energy and our focus is where it needs to be, on the working class solidarity, on the fact that we're being robbed in every way, shape, and form. They're pillaging, on our families. We need to make sure that we're focused on our families, because that's how we fortify ourselves, and that's how we protect ourselves, especially for this time of year. This is a very hard time of year for me. On our previous episode, I slipped into a little bit of a trauma dump, but, it just comes down to family, man. There's so many people who don't even have a family. And for all of those people who are lacking a family right now, tap in with us, comrades. Tap in with our movement. Tap in on every platform. Because we will be your family. We have no problem being your family. We have wide arms for all of our comrades, because every time that we need our comrades, they seem to be able to hold us up. So, comrades, I have no problem inviting you into the family. There's anything that we can do just to make sure that you are feeling supported, making sure that you are feeling uplifted, just tap in and let us know, because that's what we're here for. Our platform especially, number 1, fight back. Number 1 is to match that billionaire energy, be unethical, and fight back. Number 2 is a show of strength, to show all of our comrades that we are together in this fight. We are dealing with the same the same difficulties, the same problems. All of our things that we're fighting against are the same. So it's to show unity and force, and to show power. Number 3, and I feel like this is the main aspect of it, is our platform is centered around bringing people back together into community. Not community that's based on an extraction of power, an extraction of money, an extraction of anything, but a community that's based on working class solidarity. A community that's based on fighting inch and inch to make sure that our material conditions are improved. And so, at least I think, whenever we can put those 3 things together, we put together matching billionaire energy, fighting back. We put together a show of force and camaraderie, and we put together a community that's centered around compassion and empathy. I think that's a fire that will never be put out. That's a fire that will never be extinguished, because how can the billionaires, how can the MAGA lunatics, how can anyone fight back against something so raw, so gritty, so real, so authentic? That's why these billionaires are trying so hard to beat us down right now on the left, because compassion and empathy is not profitable under capitalism. We see it time and time again that the right choice and the profitable choice, they never really seem to coincide. And so that is our mission, fighting every day to make sure that all of those things can culminate into one vision of working class solidarity. that our affordability is addressed, that our food, healthcare, and housing is made attainable, accessible, that we stop paywalling it, we stop hoarding it for profits. That's why I'm saying we got to match their energy. We have to be unethical because that's how they're treating us. When we look at our ability to go to the hospital, it is unethical for them to deny us care. So they'll treat us, but then they'll put us into debt slavery for the rest of our lives. Why? When majority of these institutions can write this off as taxes, when the majority of these institutions have more than enough money, when our tax dollars, can pay for this, it makes more sense that our tax dollars would pay for people to not be sick than for those people to go into debt slavery for the rest of their lives. But again, it's not profitable. People that are in debt slavery for the rest of their lives are extremely profitable on a billionaire balance sheet. So that's why they treat healthcare the way that they do. Food. We're throwing away 60% of our food, but the prices are still high in the store. Inflation, tariffs, all the things. The soybean prices and the corn prices are still artificially high in the grocery stores, despite an enormous amount of glut in the consumer market, because most of those exports are still held up because of tariffs, because of Donnie. But regardless, we talked about it as well, which just happened this week, that the Trump administration admitted that when they take the tariffs off, that the prices go down, but when they put the tariffs on, that the prices don't go up. That's horrible math. But again, when all of your red states are failed education, failure and everything, I understand why they can get on there and say those things, because majority of MAGA cannot read, they cannot do math, and so they don't even understand numbers, especially if those numbers are sitting there happening in an abstract place like with words and whatnot. You mean to tell me that MAGA in majority failing states across the country in education are going to be able to do math with words? Math with words, that's insane. And MAGA, they don't really have the best and brightest. Look, gotta stop attacking. But it's my negotiation for not being fiery today, is I want to make sure that I'm attacking MAGA, stating our goals, and holding up the comrades who are working hard. We see you right now. We got a few of them. Shout outs to the people in Washington right now. Closer to the edge, huge shout out to y'all. Thanks for that invitation. I'm sorry that I couldn't make it there on the ground. We saw the speech today from especially, I don't remember his name. I don't remember the other dude's name. I know Rook. I've talked to Rook the mostly, but I forgot the other dude's name. But I saw his speech today. It was pretty good. Huge shout out to Ojaw. We see you out there live streaming the speeches. Huge shout out to Revcom. We see you out there live streaming the speeches. Huge shout out to Candace. We see you on your way out there to DC. We see everyone that's putting boots on the ground right now for this march on Washington. And we just need to make sure that we're carrying that energy into next week, especially for everyone who could not get on a plane and head out. Make sure you have that energy for next week, November 25th through December 2nd, because that's where we're teeing it up to hit them right where it hurts in those Q4 profits. To bring it back for our closing message for today, family and the fortification of family against all of these external forces, at least for me, that's really the core of everything. When you look at fighting back against the billionaires, when you look at fighting for affordability, fighting for access to food, healthcare, housing, all of those things, the core principle in that is family. Regardless of if it's children you create, regardless of if it's children you adopt, regardless of if it's your extended family, no matter what, the fortification of that family against the billionaire belligerents is the core message that we continue to push. And so I just want to make sure, comrades, that we are all staying focused on the things that we need to be focused on to make sure that our goals are moving forward. In the future of the working class solidarity movement lies within the family. It lies within teaching compassion and empathy to the next generation and making sure that they understand that these failed principles of conservatism, this failed lunatic ideology that is MAGA Supreme, does not have the ability to continue to rear its ugly head. I really feel bad. I feel bad, but I don't. For all those blaggas, for all those people of color that associate themselves with MAGA, who subject themselves to racism and all that stuff every day. In some ways, I feel for them because, I see the comments. I get them too. It's horrible. It's disgusting. But at the same time, that's your people. That's the people that you want to associate with. So you're doing it to yourself. I don't necessarily know if I should feel bad, but hey, I'm a compassionate, empathetic person, so sometimes I do. With that being said, we're probably going to just go ahead and wrap for today. I appreciate everyone's time on this beautiful Friday. Continue to exert your energy on that March on Washington. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like for next week yet. We'll try to put something out on Monday and have some clarification for the holidays. I'm not sure how exactly we're going to do with the streaming in the pods and whatnot, but we will make sure to have some content in your feeds. As usual on Facebook and all the other platforms, we're going to continue with our regular scheduled programming. But in terms of lives and long-form content, we may just take a week off. I'm going to figure that out within the next day or two, but we might just take a week off, especially because of the economic subversion. But then it comes down to, as a provocateur, maybe I need to be working hard during that economic subversion. So I'm going to figure out where it lies. I'm going to discuss it with the council. We're going to see how everyone wants to spend their time and energy during the economic subversion. So with that being said, though, everybody, I do appreciate your time this beautiful Friday. I appreciate all of the energy, all of the motion. I appreciate all of the things. And let's just make sure that we're continuing to, work hard, stay focused, and move towards the objectives of working class solidarity, working class liberation. Let's make sure that we're fortifying ourselves against these billionaires, fortifying our families. Let's make sure that we're ready. That's what it comes down to. 365 days of economic warfare for 2020.